everybody. Welcome to Directly Used fanatixfour podcast. I am AJ of fanatixfour. I'm joined by Parker. He's returned. He's
Hello.
rematerialized into our plane of being.
Yep.
Anyway, this is the show where we talk about Nintendo stuff, and we are from a Nintendo channel. You can support that very channel by going to youtube.com/fanatixfour or twitch.tv/fanatixfour and paying $4.99 for exclusive emotes, loyalty badges, sweet fridge keys from time to time.
Some sweet fridge keys.
Yeah,
like if you got some locked fridges
from time to time. Access to supporters only Discord, dude. It's a great old fun time. You can talk about whatever you want, dude. Just be like a good, fun person. And
I've been terrible at being in the Discord recently. Life's been real busy, but it's a fun time. And it's also very
I usually
encouraging.
pop in at random times.
Yeah.
I like pop in there and then I don't know, they're talking about I popped in and they were talking about microphones because Mega Man's trying to start streaming.
Yeah.
Everybody go follow Mega Man on twitch.tv/Mega Man.
087?
What is the number?
Probably 087.
Yeah, 087.
It's the same as his normal one is.
Yeah, I would assume that's what it is. If it's not, fix your branding, Mega Man. But yeah, he was talking about microphones, and then they were like, it was a whole thing, and I jumped in and talked about that, and then the whole Smash Brothers thing. They at me and like, yo, you trying to play Smash Brothers? And this week I couldn't do it, or at least like yesterday or whatever it was, because a whole bunch of just stuff happened, dude. It was like a whole thing. So yeah. That's the Discord, but you can also join our Discord without becoming a supporter on Twitch or YouTube just by clicking the link in the description, and then you just say hi to the people that are there, man. It's a good old time.
Yeah, that's right.
Great. It's just fun.
Yeah, it is. It's fun to talk to people. It's fun to play games. AJ, are you playing any games?
I am playing games, Parker.
Good.
What a segue.
What a question. Who'd have even thought we would talk about
It's true. Who would have
video
ever
games
thought?
Especially at this part of the segment where we normally, talk about it.
It's true. It's true. I've been playing, earlier this week I played Monops. I played Monopoly.
Okay.
To prep.
Live action Monop?
No.
Okay.
No. Because Bob got a code or something for Google Stadia, which is like kind of blasphemous, but like, you take what you get.
It's funny to get a code for it, right? Wait, you mean like he got a code for a game on Google Stadia? Oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought you meant a code of a subscription. I was like, you can get it for free right now.
No.
So like, what are you doing?
He got a code for the not for you just confused my whole life. He got a code for the game and was like, "Yo, can I get 3 more codes?" And they were like, "Yeah." And then he DM'd our like Minecraft Cute Boys group chat, and he was like, "Yo, who's down to play Monopoly?" And everybody can guess who said who, like what, like I was like, oh, yes, I'm down. And then Dan was like, sure, I guess. And then MDB was like, I can't do that because like I had to go like conquer 3 planets and like the MDB stuff. So yeah, that happened, and I was like, all right, cool. And I went to go see, like, because I would never freaking use Google Stadia, dude. As soon as they told me I gotta get a Chromecast and a controller, and I was like, nah, man, I'm good on that. But I signed up for this, and it was just, like, it was relatively simple. And I played Monopoly, and I destroyed the AI, and I was like, okay, cool. And
nice.
that was that game.
Oh, you destroyed the AI. Did you play on... Wait, what? It was like 3. I mean, like,
I play against the AI on the game, dude.
Oh, you
because me and Bob didn't. No, we didn't play it yet. We're playing it this Sunday, which is tomorrow for everybody listening.
Okay, well that makes sense. So here's the thing: Monopoly garbage, kind of sucks. Except for this context, probably good. I feel like it's like fun with your other gamer friends, where it's like you're not taking it seriously or whatever. Right. That's fine, but it's like playing it when it's the game to play, like with your family or something like that. At New Year's Eve,
here we go.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even end with us playing Monopoly, but it's part of the story. Nevertheless, New Year's Eve, my parents were in town for like a month. They normally live far, far away, and we went to my in-laws in the Star Wars universe. We went to my in-laws to do New Year's Eve and stuff. And they had gotten like their local town's Monopoly. Like somehow they their town Monopoly version.
What? So like Pokemon Monopoly?
Yeah, like that. But it was like, if you live in,
it was
I don't know, Detroit. It was
Star
like
Wars
Detroit.
Monopoly. Gotcha.
Yeah. And so my mother-in-law was like, we should all play, like, we'll, do stuff and we'll play a board game. We could play Monopoly because we have our local town's Monopoly. And my dad and I made eyes at each other like, there's no way we're playing Monopoly. Number one, there were like 9 of us there, and you can only have max of 6 players in regular Monopoly, I think.
I don't know, man. I don't know the rules like that.
I think it was like, I think it's something like that. So we were like, we're not doing this. So long story short, we were like, we're very much not playing, because that game is garbage for that context. But you know what? I could see it when nobody's taking it seriously, and it's just like,
see, this is the thing. Like,
times.
There's 2 possibilities for stream purposes. Either we're not taking it seriously at all, and we're just being dumb, or we're taking it very seriously.
Yes.
Like that. Those are the 2 possibilities.
But it's all very self-aware, and that's fun. I think what's the worst is if somebody thinks like, this is a good game right now, and it's like, no, it's not. But that sounds like a fun time. Nice, and that's going to be on Stadia.
Yep. But it's also a Switch game. Yep. Okay. It's true. Which was like the first thing that everybody was like replying to Bob when he was talking about it. He was like, you can get, like, why would you do that for Monopoly? Like, because he was like, when he's talking about it, he's like, this is like a $40 game, and they just like sent the codes or whatever. Which, like, I don't know why he was shocked by that. Anyway, so
free games a lot. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. It just seemed weird that he was like surprised. Yeah. But yeah, so everybody's like, you can get it for like $5 on Switch, and then it's like, but it's $40, and then it's like sometimes it goes on sale and stuff like that. Yep. But yeah, you can get it on Switch if you want to play Monopoly. And also, I've been playing some other Switch games. I've been playing With the Golf still.
Yep, nice. I saw a trailer for that one go up, I don't know, yesterday or something. And I was like, I think it
came out yesterday or the day before.
Okay, that's probably what I saw then, was the like launch trailer. It looks fun. It looks quirky and neat. So
yeah, it's like it feels like, I mean, Luis.
I heard you talking about it with Luis.
Yeah, last week he did say it was a mobile game, and it kind of feels like that, and not in like a negative way, but like in a way that like you could pick it up, you could beat a few levels, and then feel like you completed something and you're done.
That's nice. Yeah.
So yeah, it's good in that regard. Well, it's good in every regard. It's good at what it's trying to be, is what I'm saying. So yeah, I've been playing that off and on, just randomly. I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh again. Because like I was like,
just picking up where you left off before.
Yeah, I'm trying to like get through all the campaigns, because like I started.
Did you finish any of the campaign? Because there's a bunch, right, or something? Okay.
Yeah, so I finished the first 2, which are the ones that I know of. Well, I never finished the second season because like it didn't come out here or something. Like apparently there was like some, like the freaking last season and Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is wild, dude. And 4Kids was like, nah, we're not doing that part. So they just didn't bring that part over, and then like Konami like changed the rights holder or something, and it was a whole thing. Yeah. So I like, that's all I know about that. But I beat those 2 seasons because like what you do like the story duel. So it's like, do you know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh?
I've seen, I've seen so you know season 1.
And Joey are right. Yep. There's like a duel where Yugi and Joey duel, and like Japanese, like his name is like Joichi or something, or Januchi or something, and Japanese. I know, but I'm American.
And he's from New York, so
yeah,
we all
he's
know.
From Brooklyn. But so like you do the regular duel, and then after you do that, they're like, "Hey man, there's the reverse. You could play you could play as Joey and beat Yugi instead." So like I've been just doing that on the first 2 because I know those seasons and I know the characters and stuff. But now that I'm in like seasons that I don't know, what I've been doing is I'll do like the first thing with the story deck, and then the second thing I do with the like the freaking like super powered up like elemental hero, which is like the character the main character from the second season. Those are like the cards that he uses. And like when I first saw that, like that was like when they were like teasing that show, I was like, yo, his cards are dope. His cards are still dope. So those are the cards that I just use now.
Nice.
And I'm like, yo, I'm just going to like go through all the inverse duels with those cards instead of like trying to like figure out like, how do I win this as the canonical loser, you know?
Something about what you said made me think of Did you ever watch the Beyblade show back in the day?
Yes.
Okay. Did you collect Beyblades at all or whatever?
I mean,
okay.
if by collect you mean like random like relatives being like, hey, it's Christmas, kids like Beyblades, right?
Kids do like Beyblades if they're named Parker, deal, and they were me.
Parker, Beyblades are cool, but like I didn't collect them. I like the like freaking Dragoon. He's cool.
Yeah. So I did collect Beyblades like during the first round of them or whatever, and like I did the whole kind of RPG-ish bit of them of like trying to, this one had like getting the stats right, so this one's like maximum attack and this one whatever, all that kind of stuff.
And like with the actual Beyblades?
Oh yeah, with the actual tops, like
they actually have attack and defense.
Yep, they had little dots to represent like this one's like 1 defense but 3 attack or whatever, and it was just like I don't know. So like the base of them of one, I think it was called Fortress.
This one's lubed up more than the other one.
I mean, pretty much there was one that had like a ball bearing at the bottom or whatever. So it would just like spin in place. And then its little middle ring thing would be more weighted, I guess. But and like
they had like electronic ones, right? That like,
yeah, it never worked for me. I bought one and I was like, I'm going to be able to control it, and it sucked. But all that to say, I watched the show and I thought it was awesome. And I heard Ashley was watching some TikTok or something the other day where I heard the person on it saying like something about Beyblade and how there was, when they'd watch the show and there would be like these giant monsters and stuff coming out of the Beyblades, they're like, I wasn't there to watch that. That's so dumb. And I'm like, dude, that was the best part of the show. And it was so good. And I was so mad at him for being incredibly wrong about how great that
we missed the boat, dude. We should have been born in like freaking 2017 or something, because like kids in
born in 2017.
Yes, because kids in like 2027 are going to just be able to do that, dude. Like they're going to have like freaking like,
well, so are adults. So
I mean, true, but like you're going to go into like the seasonal Toys R Us kiosk and be like, yo, give me 4 Beyblades, and then you're just going to look weird, man.
Yeah.
So ripped, dude.
What a time. But yeah, there you go. There's Beyblades. Well, cool. I'm glad you're enjoying Yu-Gi-Oh! Again.
Yeah.
Seems like a fun time.
Also, Smash.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been playing some games too. Some more Animal Crossing as per usual.
Oh yeah, I haven't played Animal Crossing actively in like 2 weeks, dude. It's horrifying, dude. Because like I want to, like I didn't stop playing because I didn't want to play anymore. It was just like through circumstance, and then like once I stopped, I made it to like a week. I'm like, yo, I can't go back there. I can't face them. Like I like missed a birthday or something, dude. Like it's gonna be rough, man. Everybody's gonna shame me.
They will. Okay, but yeah, let me think. So Animal Crossing, I'm not going to get into that. Everybody knows Animal Crossing, blah, blah, blah. It was good. I played so a little bit more Ni no Kuni, still going through that. The problem with it is it's very story heavy and like dialogue centric, which is good. But the times that I normally would want to sit down and like play, it's the same problems that I had with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where there's a cutscene every 2 minutes. So if I'm watching a show and playing at the same time, I'm like, okay, pause the show, watch this cutscene. And if it's one that wasn't worth it, I'm like, that wasn't worth it. I'm mad.
Pause the show.
Yeah, exactly. Could have just skipped through it, but you don't know which ones you can skip through. So, but I still enjoy it. It's fun. I just met Hamlin, for anybody who knows the game.
That's a good one, dude.
Yeah. Boy.
I totally know him. Yeah.
Some other ones though, I finished It'll Do 2, which again, if you watch the Zelda video that I made last week, 2 weeks ago at this point, it's pretty much like Link to the Past, top-down Zelda kind of thing, and it's like funny writing. It was quite quirky and fun writing, and like surprisingly, the second to last boss was quite challenging, and I had a hard time. Like I died a lot of times. Maybe it was just me. Maybe I'm just bad at games. But that said, I think I am worse than like at games than the general person our age that's been playing games for a while, because like I've just missed it for so long.
Because you just stopped.
Yeah. So like if I watch Mitch play the same thing as me, he'll get it faster than I do for the most part. So I also just
I feel like it depends for me because there's like, well, specifically, there's one genre that like I'm not really good at, and that's shooters.
First-person
And
shooter.
it's because I do not play them. Like,
Yeah,
there's like
right.
2 shooters that I'm good at, and that's Splatoon and Gears of War, and that's because those are the 2 ones that Splatoon, I was the only one that I was like, yo, that looks dope. I want to play that. And Gears of War is peer pressure. It's like Logan was like, yo, you should play that, and I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But other than that, I have no desire to play Call of Duty and no desire to play, like, you know, so every time I play them, I'm like, crappy, dude. But like,
I want to know, well, okay, here's a bunch of thoughts. When we were watching E3 last year or whatever, I think we were watching Ubisoft's, and Ashley was at some point was like, all of these games are just like shooter games. Like, it's not very exciting because it just looks like another shooter comes out, another shooter comes out. And I feel the same way when I see a ton of shooters back to back. But but I don't feel the same way a lot of times if I see like a bunch of indie games that are 2D side scrollers or whatever that are pixel art. Like, I'll notice the difference within them because I care about it more. So I am curious, somebody who like really likes shooters, do they see The Division and then I don't know.
Probably,
you know,
yeah. Like, if that's like all they play, I think that's a different example though. Like, I think that even you are like more like varied in your tastes for that to be like a good like 1-to-1. I think if it was like because even I play a pretty good variety of games. Like, there's not like one type of, even though like I play a lot of Smash Brothers, I'm not like particularly into fighting games. I just specifically like Smash Brothers. I like other fighting games, but it's not like I'm more like likely to like a fighting game or whatever. But I still see like, okay, it's another fighting game, or okay, it's another Metroidvania, or okay, like I still feel like that. If that's the case, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess same goes for like if somebody is super into fighting games, when they see Guilty Gears up next to Blaze Blue or something like that, are they like noticing all of the differences? Because to me, I probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them. But for them, it's probably like a mechanics thing, you know, like they see the nuance that I'm not going to pick up on. I mean, same as like I notice tons of nuance and difference between all sorts of different kinds of metal. But if somebody else were to listen to, you know, 2 artists that I'm like, oh yeah, Silent Planet and Periphery are super different from each other, and they're like, nope, screaming and loud guitars and drums. I'm like, okay, I don't know. That's an interesting aside, but I'd be curious from somebody who plays a lot of shooters. Let me know. But yeah, a couple other little games. I played a little bit of Tetris 99. I'm just going through my Switch and seeing.
That's very random. Why?
I was just like, I want to play something, and I'm watching a show, and I wanted to keep watching the show, and I was like, we'll try Tetris 99. We'll pull that back out, and it's fun. I kind of suck at Tetris, but I just didn't play it a lot growing up, so like,
okay.
I'm just not great at it. But I got like 13th
I was molded by it
a couple times. Well, I got 13th once, and then I got like above 50th a couple
when I was
times.
like actively playing that, I would like pretty regularly get like top 10. I think the highest I've ever gotten was like 2nd place, and I got 2nd place like several times, and then I just stopped playing it because like, this sucks, dude. I got 2nd place like 12 times, and I can't get to 1st place.
It is harder now for what it's worth too, because I did get like the first couple days it came out, I got like, I think maybe 3rd place one time, and then some other ones kind of within there. But people in general that are playing it still now are just
they're in, dude. They're like, this is my game. I play Tetris. And like, I did a similar thing with Puyo Puyo Tetris because they had the demo on there, and I just played the demo for a really long time for a similar reason, where it's like, I just want something dumb that like I can like passively play while I listen and watch things or whatever. And then I just got to the point where I had like 15 hours in the demo, and I was like, I need to just buy this game. And then I bought the game, and then I never touched it again.
That's why I'm so excited about Clubhouse Games, is just like for like, you know, play games with some other people like that, but also just to be able to like play solitaire. I don't have anywhere that I feel like playing solitaire, but I like solitaire, you know, because I'm dumb. It's great.
True. I agree.
Yeah. That stuff. Also, lastly, a couple other little things, but because I wasn't on last week, so I didn't. I started playing Unravel 2 with Ashley. I don't remember if I mentioned that.
I think it was either you mentioned it or you were like, I want to do that or something?
Yeah. Well, we barely started it, but it seems fun. But then last night we bought her Grease because, if I had thought for a
Gave
long time.
Grimhane a code for
I
that.
know. He also, I think, is a proponent of it, if I remember right. I remember him mentioning it, but maybe it was in a negative light. But yeah, it's good. I think especially for Ashley, it was a fun one because it's just like really pretty, artsy, and like 2D stuff. So I noticed it was interesting watching her play because there were a lot of times that she'd second guess herself when I'm like, no, you're good. You're doing it right. But I tried to like not say that much stuff. And sometimes I was like, yeah, I don't know either. Just do some stuff, figure it out, because who's to say? So, but it's pretty fun.
Trial by fire.
Exactly. But yeah, that's all that I've been playing. Those are some games. And you know what? Here's the thing, guys. We ask you guys for QA, and we have that at the end. But we decided this topic was really good, so we're just going to pull it up and have it be the main topic for today.
Bam, bam, bam.
Okay. Duncan asked us on Discord, yo, what do you think Nintendo's next system could look like? Since it's been stated that we're barely halfway through the Switch's life cycle, it's gotten me thinking about what a potential successor could look like. Would you like to see them stick to a more traditional DS to 3DS or GameCube to Wii U style of sequel system, or get something completely out of left field like the Switch was? If so, what would you want that to be?
I think this is interesting because, like, I don't know, like the handheld side of this question makes way more sense to me than the consoles. Because like, I guess on a technical end that makes sense, the GameCube to Wii U, because they're literally like Wii is just like a more advanced version of like the same architecture and like chipset as the GameCube was, and the same is the case for the Wii U, right? But like when you zoom out,
the
Wii U,
the purposes of those consoles were very different.
Yeah, but well, the purposes for, like, I would say
like GameCube to Wii
and Wii, those are very different. But then it's like Wii to Wii U is kind of like a gradient, and then Wii U to Switch is like a gradient to me.
Yeah.
So like, I think, and I would almost say that like Wii U to Switch is a more direct evolution than any of those other combination of the three, if that makes sense. So like, I don't know, it would be very strange if they like got to this point with Switch specifically where it felt like that this was like the result of long, arduous like trial and error, and they're like, we got here, dude. It would be so weird for them, like, nailed it. All right, on to something completely different. Like, like it would seem weird, especially given the fact that they have a history of like at least doing the same thing again one more time. Like, I feel like GameCube is a pretty like direct follow-up to N64.
I mean, and the NES into SNES. I was going to say those exact combinations are more like the DS to 3DS, Game Boy to Game Boy Advance kind of thing.
Right.
I would agree that I think the purpose of the Switch, like, we see it as it's a handheld and a home console, but like, especially with the Switch Lite coming out, and if there's other things that come out past it, I think it's more the idea of like, this is a launch pad for any direction we're going to go in. Like, I could see the next Switch doing something that could enable better VR if they think that's a direction they would go into, or, like, kind of like just be able to tackle all of those different fronts, even if obviously, as technologically speaking, it's not at the same caliber as a PS4 or Xbox One, even though it came out after them, as far as like, it's just raw power. But it's still doing like, here's what those consoles are supposed to be doing. We're doing that. But also here's like our handheld side, and we're doing that, and like kind of trying to be as multifaceted as possible and work towards their strengths.
Right. And I think that like I talk about this a lot, but like, their Apple influence, I think they don't care to be like that old style. Like, they're not thinking of it like that anymore. Like, what's the next evolution of like our console or whatever? I think they think Switch is iPad.
Right. Which is, especially considering like, or thinking, I mean, maybe an iPhone for this analogy, but for thinking of an iPod, that there was like so many different iterations. I mean, they were the same. They did the same function as each other, and the iPod Touch, like they all, besides that, had extra things, but like all the iPods had the same core functionality, but they were like, we just can't quite figure out exactly what it's supposed to be like. Is it supposed to be super sleek or like big or whatever? But then they landed on.
I think iPad is still a more apt comparison to what it is, because we have the iPad Mini,
right?
Literally, and then there's the regular iPad, and then there's the iPad Pro.
Yeah. Oh, I just meant in the sense of like the
like
question
where it's
marks.
Like it's like that was like back then.
And then they landed on something.
And that, gotcha.
Yeah. And once the iPhone has come out, it's just like it's a one-stop shop of like
better and better.
Exactly. Yeah. And but same for the iPad. Exactly. There's like different iterations on the same concept, but it's like the form factor is not.
And really they don't like make an event out of it. I feel like they don't even do what they're kind of known for unless they announce a new like sub product line. They don't do like the whole keynote right when they come out with a new iPad. They're just like, here's the new iPad, here's the product page, buy it. You know, I don't think Nintendo will go that far in the Apple direction, but I think that if anything, like they might brand it as like the swap, you know, but it's still going to essentially be the Switch, you know, but better.
That is, I mean, the tricky thing will be at this point, now that we've had Nintendo's lineage be such kind of like different versatile things, and if they want to stick to one thing that's pretty much like the same, you know, the Switch, for all intents and purposes, the Switch 2 and all that stuff, is how do they brand the next one so that it doesn't suffer the same fate as the Wii. I mean, the Wii U had a lot more issues to it than
but I think that's the problem with Wii U, is that they didn't commit. I think Wii U is the problem. If they named it Wii 2, that would have helped it a lot better.
I think you're totally right. Yeah.
Sounds more like this is like an ancillary thing, especially since like they waited so long to actually like show the console and the marketing. And it's not like helped very much by the fact that from the front, it kind of looks like just a rounded Wii.
Yeah.
So it's like, and even like the whole like, you know, profile, it just looks like an external hard drive. So like the whole thing of like people confusing it for a add-on, although I think that like you need to be like removed from it all to like really think that, which I think is more people than it's not, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
It was definitely a thing that I could see people getting confused about, and I wouldn't fault them for it. I think that they would have to try pretty hard to get like artsy, which I mean, they do that sometimes, to like mess up doing the Switch, especially since they made such a concerted effort to not do that with Switch. Like you can tell, like branding was at the front of their mind when they like released this thing.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting to see too. Thinking about this, so. With Xbox Series X coming out, especially, they've stated that at least first party stuff, they're going to have obviously Xbox Series X games that are going to be, that are going to work better on that than they would on older consoles and stuff, than the Xbox One X or Xbox One S or whatever. But that they won't have any just straight up first party exclusives for the first whatever year or something like that.
Right.
So in a lot of senses, that could hurt the initial console sales. Because
I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, just because it doesn't have that, like, oh, I need to, like, just any old person's like, I want to buy that game. Oh, I can buy the old console for that. That's cheaper. Like, sure, I'll do that.
But I think the thing that they're banking on, and what seems like what usually happens, is those people don't matter for the initial success. It's the people that just want the new thing.
Yeah.
Like, they don't care what they're playing on the new thing. They just want the new thing.
Yeah.
That's
definitely true.
Just the fact that it exists, I think, like me, I'm probably going, well, it depends. I'll at least buy one of them.
Yeah.
Whichever one has the closest thing to like, oh, this is games that I want to play on here. And then I'll eventually buy the other one once it has two games that I want, you know? But for the most part, I think that people that aren't like me and play like 90%, like even like multi-console owners that play like 90% of their games on Switch anyway, like they're gonna just be like, whatever the thing is, just because it's prettier, you know. It's the same game, but it's prettier and it's going to load faster, you know.
I mean, and there's so many people are. I mean, honestly, just looking at the number of people that went out to buy, like myself and you, the updated Switch that was just barely updated Switch.
Yep, the big battery, boy.
Yeah, like that's really not a substantial change at all, but like, let's do it, So yeah, that's definitely a good point. And I think they're getting enough people just in general on board with like, I enjoy being a part of the Switch family and ecosystem and stuff like that, like just using it at all, that maybe that wouldn't hurt too much. And then by the time they do have exclusive games for the new one, actually, yeah, do you think like a launch game, like taking the Wii U to Switch, there was obviously a Wii U Breath of the Wild. It wasn't backwards compatible. I think probably the Switch 2, the swap, would be backwards compatible.
Yeah, I think 1000%, because they're benefiting from the same thing that Xbox is right now, and PlayStation, where they came into this generation, or last generation, I guess, with the idea that like, okay, we're moving on the x86. This is the same architecture that like modern PCs use, so it's going to be easy for developers to port their PC projects back and forth between the two or 3 or 4 platforms at this point. So we're future-proofed in that regard. Switch is the same kind of, but just a different architecture, because they're using ARM-based chips.
Yeah.
And mobile, for the most part, uses that, and also the Switch uses it. So like them using the same architecture that's like kind of future-proofed in the same way, where it's like it's efficient and like they can just scale up the power, and then continue to like, Nintendo's always going to go for like, the next Switch is obviously going to be more powerful, but they're going to go efficient over like pure power, right? So it's still going to like perform way better, but they're going to understand how to develop for it already, and it's going to be like more or less the same. To be like, okay, this is how we get this game running on the Switch, and this is how we get this game running on the swap,
Just so, okay, as a thought experiment then, because I think you and I are both in agreement that the next console is just going to be just more of Switch, pretty much. Thought experiment, if say Nintendo was like, nope, we're actually doing something different, what do we think?
I think the only thing that they could do that would make sense, not necessarily for them, but like business wise, if they're like, you know what, we're going right back to the GameCube days, we're doing what those guys did but marginally better, or right in the middle, doing a full-on console and stuff like that. Because I think that that's the only thing that they can like roll out as like a big like celebration. Granted, I would have never predicted the Wii, so who really knows? Maybe their next thing is like revitalizing VR in some way that we would have never expected, right? Like they're like the ones that like are like coming out with freaking Ready Player One grade crap, like maybe that's what it is,
I would think for them, because they did Labo VR, I could see Nintendo doing AR more so than I could really like diving into VR, because it's more like communal and stuff like that, because like VR by nature of it is more isolating and stuff. But I think probably if they were to do that, they would still have like just split back up into doing the home console and handheld, but then probably the handheld, I would guess, would do some kind of a Vita function of the like TV play or whatever, because like
they
can't
play thing,
because they can't lose that.
I think that's another
and
part
that's
of
all
why.
That is why it's like that's just the Switch.
It's like I don't know how or why they would do that, because like their whole domain is home. Like freaking handheld consoles. So for them to like drop the idea of the hybrid is, I think is like the only way that they could do that is if they're abandoning one or the other, and it would be dumb to abandon the handheld. So like either their next thing is going to be purely a handheld, or it's going to be a hybrid.
Yep. So that's what we think. I mean, the Switch is just doing so well, you wouldn't even believe it. So why would they switch up their tactic? We'll have to wait into the future, but it's doing so well that it's selling even faster than the Wii was. And this comes.
I didn't know that the Switch was a successful platform that was outpacing another successful platform.
Oh, you didn't know that? It was in the notes for the video, and you probably saw it. I don't know. So yeah, okay, we got some NPD results. Oh, that's what that is for April, and this is just sold retail for Nintendo at least. This is just sold retail in the US only. So like, there's no digital sales for games, which obviously a console is only hardware and there's no you can't get a digital Switch, but yeah, it broke a bunch of records and all sorts of things did. Spending in general this April is up an insane amount for obvious reasons. Everybody's at home. We're trying to find a Switch for my sister-in-law for her birthday, which is next week. And like, we're going in on it with my in-laws and stuff like that. And on Wednesday, did you see,
like, I think yesterday, like Best Buy or something had them.
Oh, really? It was so. Actually, that might be the one. So I retweeted one from some Twitter account that was like, "Hey, they've got Switches." I went to the site. I was like, "They do have Switches." Maybe it was. I think it was that one because it was Best Buy. I'm pretty sure. And so I was like, "Okay, we good to do this?" And Ashley was like, "Maybe you should check with my parents just to make sure we're still all okay with it." Checked with them, got the okay in like 20 minutes. And they were gone.
Oh, man.
I was like, man.
Next time you need to just do it.
I know. Yeah. That's the moral of that story is just do it,
Yeah, man.
Follow. I mean, I could always just upsell if we decided no, could have upsold it for $700.
Yeah. You could be a piece of garbage, dude. You could, like, just go on Amazon and be like, hey, $800, little Sally. I don't care if it's your birthday.
Yep. So I don't know which bits we want to take out of this. This is a whole thread. But just some tidbits. 808,000 Switches were sold in the US in April alone, which is the best selling of any console in April ever. I don't know if by numbers, by dollar amount it is, but it was over the Wii by dollar amount, which means since the Wii was $200,
dude,
probably
the
Wii was
$250. Fake fan.
$250. Well, by that point though, in 2009.
Yes, 100%.
Fake fan, as it were. Yeah, I don't know. The top 10 best sellers also: Animal Crossing New Horizon, Mario Kart. This is for Switch specifically. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Just Dance 2020, Smash, Breath of the Wild, Mario U, Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Sword, Trials of Mana. Interestingly,
didn't that game just come out?
It just came out, yeah. So. And then Super Mario Party at number 10. Just Dance 2020 was funny to me because it's like, oh yeah, I mean, it's normal, but also I retweeted it just because, like, we're back in the Wii days. It's
true. Labo. I was about to say Ring Fit was the thing that made me feel like that, but Labo, I was like,
oh yeah,
that was the thing that's like, okay, we feel like we can like expand now.
Yeah.
They did Wii in reverse.
They did. Which honestly worked out great because this way it brought in the core gamers and there's still stuff going for the core gamers. Because, like, yeah, the Wii had core gamer games, but like
it came
most of the people
for the most part.
Exactly. Most people were out by that point. So anything else stand out to you from all this stuff?
Mario Party being there.
Yep.
Makes me sad.
Does.
Because it just means that instead of DLC and improving Super Paper Mario, Super Paper Mario, Super Mario Party.
I
don't know why I do that. Like, I was like freaking recording my video for last week, and I kept doing that. I was like, yo, why do I always call Paper Mario Mario Party and vice versa? I don't understand it.
I don't know, man.
Something's wrong with me.
It is. But yeah, that's true. The fact that doesn't have DLC is still crazy. But on the flip side,
that's
Animal
why,
Crossing,
though, because it's number 10 on the NPD, like 2 years after it came out.
For sure. I was doing a segue. Goodness gracious. It's okay.
Speaking of 2 years after.
But yeah, speaking of 2 years afterwards, Animal Crossing apparently is supposed to give us surprises for years. So it should be getting that DLC still in a while.
Yo, I come up with the most natural freaking segues ever, dude, because I didn't even read the headline.
Teamwork, working together. Yeah, so this article, this was here. Let's see if there's a quote. So, Kyogoku, said, who is the director of Animal Crossing: New Horizons, said, "Animal Crossing is a game where you're able to enjoy seasonal changes throughout the year, and it's synced with real time. And through that, you're able to basically sync your life with the game. We want to make sure that in 2 years or 3 years down the road, players will still continue to find new surprises in the game. So we hope to create an update that you can do that with." That stuff. So, read that, thought that was interesting. We can talk a bit about that too, but also wondering how that compares with other games that did the same thing but felt kind of empty at launch. Like there's a bunch of games. Kirby is the one that kind of most comes to mind that we talk about. Is because like, even when I made the DLC video a bunch of months back, a bunch of people commented and they were like, honestly, actually, Kirby feels great now. Like, it's got all
Kirby
this stuff,
two,
blah, blah, blah.
2 years later. Good
game. So, but which is awesome. Like if you buy it now and have all those downloads and stuff, like maybe it does feel like this is like a full featured game that has all this stuff. But at the beginning, it didn't feel like that. And it felt like a more shallow experience or what have you. So how is it that Animal Crossing is able to, outside of like some super fans that are like, kind of sucks that this is gone and this is gone or whatever. Yeah. How is it that Animal Crossing is able to do that? And theoretically we'll still have those. And I bet all of those things that people are like, kind of sucks that this is gone, that those things, Brewster's is probably going to come back. Whatever other things other than Mr.
I think it's because of Splatoon. Entirely, because it's the same team. So I think that they learned from their experiences there, and they're like, all right, this is like the core of like what Animal Crossing is to us as a as a company. And then here's the other things that people like about Animal Crossing, and here's some other like ancillary things that we could add. And like put that on a tier list of like when to release all this stuff, right? And then just said like, okay, let's do like the event thing because that keeps people playing for a long time, and we'll like work along the way to say like, so they're flexible to a point where it's like, all right, this is current and this is something that we could be referential of, so let's put this in the 2021 Bunny Day event instead of just doing the same thing as last year or whatever, right? Because how they did it in the older games, where it was just like pre-installed content, it was just the same thing every time. And that's why people like time travel to the thing. And then it was like, oh, I'm going to freaking Bunny Day next year. And it wasn't as cool as it is now. But now you can't even go to Bunny Day next year because it's not on the the cartridge. I think Parker froze. He did.
Hey,
now he's back.
Yep. My audio is going to sound like garbage for a couple of minutes, and then I'll be back. I mean, then, it'll be back up to normal. Yeah. So we're good. We can keep going.
We're good. I was talking still. Yeah, I kind of noticed for a little bit, and then I looked at the camera, and I was like, Parker's still there. And then, like, I was like, oh, no, he's not here. And then he came back. There it is.
Yeah, keep going.
Yes. I mean, I was just basically talking about how I think that, like, for this case, it keeps them flexible. It lets them like continue to develop the game and be like current and relevant to like what's happening. So rather than saying like, all right, Zipper's back and he just does the same crap he did last year, they could be referential to like the reaction from last year or like whatever current event is happening, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. So out of curiosity, I didn't play Splatoon 2, especially when it came out, but I remember some discussions around it or whatever that people were frustrated. People who, same kind of thing, were around for the first one. They were like, why isn't this, this stage or whatever in the game? Do you feel like there was a lot of conversation around that in general, like that Splatoon 2 did feel kind of empty at the beginning?
I don't think for Splatoon 2, there was like any real conversation about that. At least from like the majority, there was probably like super fans or whatever that were still playing Splatoon 1, were like, whatever. But on the whole, I think Splatoon 2 did a way better job at like balancing the like new content, but also being enough as a like standalone product to like hold people over for long enough that they can sustain themselves until the updates come out. So
that's something in general I hope Nintendo games as a whole just continue to get better at, because like there's some it's really, I don't know, disjunct which ones do it well and which ones don't. You know, obviously Breath of the Wild had DLC, but no one could say the base game of Breath of the Wild wasn't just, you know, like a completely full game and then some.
It's true.
So, but then there's plenty of games that are, you know, the opposite of that. So Mario Party, again, being an example that we talked about.
Which, I don't know. Like, I feel like people are, like, more down on Mario Party than it probably deserves. Super Mario Party, specifically.
Yeah, right.
But it's definitely, like, I think it was... They shouldn't have said anything. It shouldn't have been like, this is a return to form. That shouldn't have been their marketing, because it just was. But I feel like because that was their marketing and that was what they were making a big deal out of, because it wasn't exactly that and it wasn't like as much content as it felt like the other games had and all that stuff, people were like down on it. But I think that game is way better than people give it credit for. I do think that it should have more content, but I think that people over exaggerate like how bad.
Right. I think part of the thing with that game too was that there was a lot of content. I guess if you split it out across like different modes and stuff like that, like there were a lot of options, but that made it to where each mode didn't
get enough. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
And so, if you didn't like every mode, then you're missing out on a lot of stuff.
Right. Because like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't played other Mario parties in a while, but like, you know, having the riverboat mode and the like co-op thing or whatever that was, as opposed where you kind of build your own board, and like those were creative things. I don't know how much development time those would have taken away from the main board game mode, but
I think the thing about it is like, in a way, it was more of a branding thing for that kind of screwed them over, because they could have branded those modes as just boards. And people would have been like, yo, this is dope. You know, if it was like the river board, and then that's just the gimmick for that board. Like, I think people would have liked the game way more just if they did stuff like that. But because they made them modes, it felt like less complete. It was like, this isn't the mode that I signed up for. I don't like this game. And also, I think that they shot themselves in the foot by not doing the full like board game experience online. That was just dumb.
Yeah.
It's like, I think channels like ours and like, you know, like when I stream with Bob or whatever, we'd be playing Mario Party still if we could do that. Like, just because he hates Mario Party, I think we would play that a lot, because it would be hilarious.
Yeah.
That he's just like upset that he's like, I'm so good at these mini games, but I always lose. Spoilers, he's not good at mini games.
Yeah, or I mean, even if you could adjust some of the rules, you know, and make it more competitive, you know, standard in various ways. Like, that's something that Nintendo's not great at in general, is allowing you to, you know, to customize things to your own experience, whether that be even audio in games. Like in Animal Crossing, I'd love to be able to turn off one kind of sound or another so that I could listen to, you know, turn the music off so that you can hear music other places. But then when I'm fishing, I can then hear, you know, the fish blooping and stuff, whatever that's called.
Blooping.
That's the word. That's how it works.
It is.
But in any case,
people on the video just see Parker Deal on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, they will. It says connecting. I don't know.
That's what it seems like. Just give them the audio people context.
Yeah, it's true. And that stuff. So, but the next thing that I was going to do a smooth segue into, but obviously didn't.
It's true.
Is the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive comes out.
Yep.
Definitive Edition comes out in a week, which is dope.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. Are you going to be playing that?
I'm whelmed. Possibly. I don't know. Depends on what I got going on, dude. Like, I know, like, I'm impulsive. I was going to say I'm an impulsive person. But yeah, I'm very impulsive. So like, if I'm just like not doing nothing and I see it like on the eShop and I'm, you know, like it's just launched at midnight and people are like, I'm downloading this and blah, blah, then I'm down. Or if Nintendo sends it, who knows? I'm like down to check it out. Even though if Nintendo sends it, I'm going to send it to you, because you're way more likely to actually make content out of it than I am.
True.
But I'll check it. I'll probably check it out just to be a part of the zeitgeist. but it's probably not going to be something that I'll stick around with long term.
Yeah, right. I can't remember how much of the original did you play?
The original.
Like little bits on the Wii and little bits on the 3DS.
Yeah, I played a little bit. I think I played like the first 5 hours or something like that on the Wii, and then I played like 15 on the 3DS. I think like 20 hours is my like cutoff point. Like if I get past 20 hours, I'm gonna finish a game. But like if I don't get to at least that, I'm not, like, it's just like the game's done for me, dude. Like, because I was realizing that, like, I was like, and I still feel like I need to do it because I want to do it for content. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, right.
I got to like the 15-hour marker, a little bit under that, and I just never played it again. And a big part of that is because of like moving and all that stuff. Yeah, but also, it's kind of like I don't really want to, you know?
So, yeah. No, I feel you there. There's definitely some games where like I played I think like 25 hours of Skyrim. I got it for Christmas the year after it came out, so 2018 or something. And especially because it was out of the zeitgeist by a long shot at that point. I was like, I'm good. I've played Breath of the Wild, which is so much better now. So like, you know, it is what it is. But I definitely feel that feeling. Well, so the interesting thing about this article and the conversation that comes out of it, in my opinion, is that Monolith Soft talked about how much of Xenoblade's graphics were redone for the definitive edition, because like I listened to the Game Explain preview, I'm pretty sure, where they talked about it, and they said like the running animations are still the same and all that kind of stuff. So obviously it's kind of like a fresh coat of paint, a very fresh coat of paint over the original game with added features and stuff like that. So yeah, let's read this. This is from Takahashi. Said, it goes without, well, the question was, the original game was on the Wii in standard definition. Could you tell us about how you've upgraded the visuals and assets to HD in this remaster? Takahashi said, it goes without saying, but considering we had restrictions like production costs and time, we couldn't remake everything. So we started off with deciding what we could remake and what we could not. What we would and would not remake. Specifically, we went as far as upconverting the textures and adding shader textures for the enemies and maps. Then we remade things like the main and important characters' faces and hands, the new equipment in the definitive edition, the Monado, the facial animations during cutscenes and scripted event, and so on. Even though we divided things up like this, before long, each member of the team began showing their passion and abilities. So we wound up incidentally touching up things like NPCs and enemies that we didn't intend to change initially. There's some things that couldn't be completely remade, of course, but I hope players enjoy looking at all the differences in the game.
See, it's just going to be like a thing where it's like, I don't even know enough about this game to notice like what is and isn't remade. It's just either going to all look great or all look bad. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and like, yeah, I'm excited to play it myself too, because there's a lot of bits where it's tough comparing as well when we know what, like, I don't know, photorealistic things look like well, and seeing things where somebody's like, wow, this is so beautiful, and in their mind they're comparing it to the original, and to me it's like, it's pretty, it's something. And there are bits that I've seen that I'm like, well, that actually is really cool. But I think playing it and experiencing, getting into some big wide open area feels more majestic than seeing somebody else do it, even in their gameplay.
Yeah, also I think that for me at least, I don't know, because again, like I think it's harder for you to compare in that way because you don't own like a next gen console or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
But like for me, I don't really think of it like that, where it's like just directly like I've seen better graphics than this. It's just like, where am I playing this? Breath of the Wild to me is way more impressive, and I think about it more because I'm playing it on a freaking 6-inch or 10-inch screen or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Versus like Final Fantasy VII, which I'm playing like on a 40-inch screen or whatever. So like it's like
yeah.
So I don't know if this would be like more or less impressive than say Breath of the Wild. But to me, I think that would more so be the gauge than to be like, I just saw the Xbox Series X preview and this doesn't look as good as that or whatever, right?
One question that came to mind with this for me was, what other games, if there's any that you can think of off the top of your head, that would benefit from like I mean, there's a lot of games like Link's Awakening obviously just got actually remade from the ground up. And then like I think Spyro incidentally got remade from the ground up, but then Crash Bandicoot is a new coat of paint over the same game, and you love Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, great. Best game.
So, but yeah, what other games come to mind for you that would be like, if they could just give this one a new coat of paint, that would be all that it really needs? I mean, I guess I'll go ahead and say this. I feel like a lot of turn-based games could be the case with.
Yeah, I'll see. It's funny because like people would get mad at this answer, but like I would say stuff like, you know, like Pokemon, like Gen 1, but like Fire Red specifically because of like the content that they had in there. Like I like Let's Go, but I think Let's Go, the thing that they kind of missed out on is that they didn't do all the Gen 1 stuff content wise. I don't really care about the wild encounters and stuff like that. But I wish they put like the Sevi.
What do you mean you don't care about the wild encounters? I thought that was something that was.
I thought that was like the whole game.
Yeah.
No, I hate those. And like when I'm playing.
Oh, you mean like the yeah.
Yeah,
but
like I don't
like being able to see Pokemon in the overworld. But
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
and I don't like running into Pokemon all the time. I like it annoys me every 3 seconds running through grass and being like, oh, and I'm going to battle this thing. I don't battle wild Pokemon.
Yeah.
90% of the time, especially now, like with Sword and Shield, most of my experience comes from raid battles or whatever. So every Pokemon that I battle for experience, I go in there willingly, being like, I want to battle this thing. So
when you first said it, I thought you meant like you don't care about it. Like, oh, I'm fine. You could put random encounters back in. Like, I don't care about that.
No.
That seems off brand for you.
No, I was saying that like the reason why I was like, I wish that like my choice would probably be like a Gen 1 Pokemon game. Because Gen 1 janky. But it wouldn't be because of like what everybody else would probably say that would want a Gen 1 remake that's more new or whatever. It's like I want one that's like a real Pokemon game. I don't feel like that. I think Let's Go did a good job at being a Pokemon game and like experimenting with the formula and stuff like that. But on a content end, I would have liked it if they did like Sevi Islands and maybe even like the Orange Islands from Pokemon.
I would love something with the Orange Islands because those were, I feel like, that was like some of my favorite back in the day watching Pokemon, just like getting into that and being like, oh, this isn't like the games. And it's just like bunch of random stuff. You're making glaciers and turn them into geysers and
like bobsleds and stuff.
It was super cool. I was super down with that.
And then like I know the comments, people are like, "Oh, when does Gen 1?"
Yeah, but I mean, there's something to be said for, especially like minimal work, bringing something up to. I mean, the Mario 3D remasters, if that's a real thing, that's what that's going to be. Is like we know most people don't want to start with Mario 64 these days. If someone's playing it, it's for nostalgia, but we want people to be able to play Mario 64. So
or they're forcing their child for education.
That's going to be me. You know, so like that kind of thing, kind of like, I don't know, tidying up your backlog and making it look, you know, bring it up to this current gen or something. I don't know. But speaking of gens, I don't know if we had any more thoughts on that, but
no, I was going to say something about the forcing kids to like play games. I feel like I don't know. I haven't really had that experience yet because like I feel like my nephew, for one, he lives too far from me, and for two, he's like two. Yeah, and then like my niece, because she's like not really like into it, like she likes Mario and Pokemon like on the like kid branding level of like I recognize that character, but she's not like, yo, I'm trying to play games. I don't really like have the patience to like sit there and be like, this is how you play this game or whatever, right? I'm either like, here's Kirby, that's something that's like just straight up stupid and anybody can play it easily, or I'm just like, Just Dance, just play that. So I need like a freaking 5-6 years from now, maybe my own like child, where I'm like from the get go of like you're getting ingrained these interests, you know, where it's like you want to play games from like when you're like 3, for me to like have that, you know, that feeling of like I'm forcing this kid to play this game.
Yeah, I'd be that I'll be interested to hear from, like, my parents definitely weren't gamers or anything.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to hear. I mean, now there's already some, but from kids that grew up and it's like, yeah, my parents were like super into games, still are super into games as adults. But like right now, the only people where that's the case would be, I mean, I don't know. It'll just be interesting as that keeps going and like generations continue and seeing how that turns out. But again,
I just feel like it's a waste for us to have this, right?
Yeah.
And then like there'd be kids in our lives and they don't play games, you know?
It's true.
Like if I had, like, it would be wild if like my dad, like if it was like the opposite day or something, and like my dad was a freaking gaming YouTuber and like, you know what, I want to be a police officer or whatever, right? Like that'd be real wild. But anyway, moving on.
Moving on into the future. There was an interesting quote from Atsushi Inaba from Platinum, who talks about the next gen and how, in his opinion, quotes, he doesn't think the next gen hardware will be as groundbreaking as the Switch. And so here's some quotes from him about that, which is just fun to talk about. Where to start? So he says, I don't want to sound like, hey, I know everything about the new consoles and they're boring. But with the information that I have now, I haven't seen any extremely big surprises. And goes on to say,
we're in the same world, my guy.
Yeah. He goes on to say, when you're simply seeing graphical improvements or just faster, bigger, obviously it's nice, but it doesn't have that same inventive quality that really surprised me with past consoles. And then he finishes up by saying, there's not the extreme surprise or the unexpected quality that I felt from the leap to previous consoles. Now I see the announcements and I think, oh, that's cool. And the next minute I think, what should I watch on Netflix tonight? But then I guess somewhere in here he says that I don't see in his quote actually where he specifically says the Switch.
I don't know. I think that they just pulled the stuff around that. But even if that, I could see that because like the Switch is like a quantifiable like transition, whereas like Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 are just like more of what we did last time, which is more of what we did last time, which is more of what, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense. That adds up. So yeah. I like, and it's funny because like I had a conversation with somebody. I think it was like, and it was in some chat. I think it was like on like Bob's stream or something like that, or maybe it was in the comments of a video or something. But I said something about how the graphics only matter, or graphical fidelity and like all these new like technological advancements and stuff like that. I was like, they only matter to the developers. And then somebody commented, was like, that's peasant talk or something like that. And I was like, yeah, tell me more about how the new consoles are going to help you to get your game running on at 4K at 120 FPS, you know? Like, tell me more about how many more polygons you can fit on the screen with the game that you're developing, you know? Like, like the end product obviously is going to be like better for the consumer, but it doesn't really matter. As long as it looks better, the consumer is not going to care about how they got there.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's just like in terms of fun factor, it's just like there was more to talk about when the Switch was coming out. It's more just like what questions and like, what curiosity and stuff.
Like, how is this going to play? Like, there was like even questions about like docking. Like I remember everybody being like, why won't they let us see in the Jimmy Fallon thing what it looks like when you undock it? I want to see the screen, you know? And it like they literally just did, you know, like it just goes from the screen on the TV to the screen being on the Switch, you know? like everybody was thinking it was going to be like some type of like transition, you know? It was going to be like the Switch like commercial, like the snap at the beginning of it. They thought like every time you're going to undock it, that's what's going to happen. But
that would get annoying real fast.
It would. It would.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that was some interesting thoughts from Platinum, which I mean, like, I think everybody that listens to the podcast knows that we feel that way about this, but hearing it from Platinum themselves.
Yeah, hearing it from a developer is like, geez, like I was giving them some leeway, being like, well, at least developers care, and here developers are like, I don't know if we care.
Yep. So that's not the only thing we heard from Platinum. They also, Hideki Kamiya said the following. He said, "I'm on Twitter, so I see a lot of comments every day. I'm
What?
happy."
Hideki Kamiya is on Twitter?
You don't say. Oh, and this is specifically about Bayonetta 3. I thought he mentioned it within this, but about Bayonetta 3 not being canceled, and that it's still moving along. So it's more of an update for everybody. He says, "I'm on Twitter, so I see a lot of comments every day. I'm happy that there's still anticipation for the title, but one thing I would like to address is the trend I'm seeing, which is people who are starting to ask if the game has been canceled. I want you guys to take any concerns you have like that and throw them out the window immediately, because we're still hard at work on it, and it hasn't been canceled by any means. Please look forward to it."
I mean,
ta-da, PR talk.
I mean, you can't really blame people for feeling like that, because the game kind of like disappeared, and they don't really talk about it other than to say like, "We're still working on it." Yeah, it's like, but I don't know. Bayonetta toxic. That's my Smash 4 salt.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, also they wouldn't announce. He wouldn't say in that kind of context that weren't the case. So there's that. But I think still at some point the game's got to come out, and it's weird. It is weird that they announced it so early. I think they had to announce it when they did, kind of same as like Metroid Prime 4, because they had other games that they wanted to put out. They wanted to put out Bayonetta 1 and 2, and they were like,
well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But then again, I don't know. I don't think it's the same. I don't think that's the same. I think that if they just were like freaking, here's Metroid on 3DS, I think that would
be way worse for sure.
People would be so upset. I don't think anybody would have been like up in arms if like they were like, here's Bayonetta 1 and 2 on Switch. That's it. Like, I don't think anybody would have been like, well, where's Bayonetta 3? Maybe 5 years from when they announced it, people might have been like, what, Bayonetta 3?
Yeah, it just seems like those are ones that just weren't super well thought. I mean, I don't know. I talked about the Metroid one. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it is what it is. The last bit of news, though, is this week there's going to be a Wholesome Direct 2020 that is just going to be like pretty much an indie direct that's coordinated by a bunch of indies together. And this is different from the Guerrilla Games thing that's happening in June, I think. This is happening on May 26th, which is Tuesday, at a bunch of times. I mean, it's one time, but depending on your time zone.
Great. Good.
1 p.m. ET.
Good timing for them,
Yep. So I'll be excited to watch some of that.
Are made on Tuesdays or Thursdays. You love it. Not that they would cover anything that would make sense for us for a video, probably.
Yeah, right.
But
so there it is. That's the end of the news bits.
Undertale 2 confirmed.
Yeah, I can't imagine. They didn't say who all's taking part in this one, I don't think. So I don't know. We'll have to see what all is here. It could be a bunch of garbage games.
Sans for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate confirmed.
It says over 50 titles showcased during the broadcast, which will feature footage, developer interviews, and announcements. I'm wondering how long I mean, if the developer interviews are similar to those that were in the indie showcase for Nintendo recently, then that makes sense. But if it's like longer developer interviews, like, how are you guys going to do 50 games in that amount of time?
It's true. I don't know. Maybe in the developer interviews, each developer is going to like announce 4 games.
Probably. So hopefully something cool will come out of that. Maybe we'll see some updates on some games we already know about. I don't know. It would be neat. I don't know. Probably the ones we already know about would do better as standalone announcements instead of in that.
Yeah.
Probably. So that's probably going to be,
I can't
more
wait
like
for an Untitled Duck game.
Ooh,
it's
yeah.
Gonna be hype. Hype.
Crazy that I'm looking forward to a game called Sports Story when I care zero about sports in real life, but
it's true.
And ironically, people who care about sports in real life wouldn't be looking forward to Sports Story most part. So there's that. That's it for the news. Any last thoughts before we get into the videos?
We sure newsed,
We did. We newsed it up.
We newsed it.
Yep. So we've got, we make videos every week. You guys comment on those videos and we pull some of those comments to talk about, to, kind of expand on. And
That's true. And Parker actually put his video where it goes.
I did. I flipped him around.
I thought you said something else, and I was about to be shocked.
I flipped them around. No, yeah. So yeah, I talked about Metroid and that it needs to come around, and I forgot to make the Metroid pun early enough, but you fixed it, and
I did.
You fixed my error.
Yeah, I did.
And it's up there now. Any thoughts from you on the front ends?
Yeah, Metroid, great. Bring it. Sure, why not?
Bring it. Sure.
The thing that I'm like, this video will forever be associated with the fact that the young man retweeted it and said the thing, and I was like, all right, dude. Okay. All right.
Mister. Too much energy, apparently.
Yeah, too much energy, apparently.
That was funny.
Gotta start, just gotta get out the green screen and like the camera and start taking like stills of my face and then, put the big old text there and all this. Gotta do like the whole thing. And then it will be the right amount of energy.
Some of that. Yep.
Some of that.
It's true.
It's true.
Anyway. So there you go. There's that. Some comments. I pulled 2 more positive ones and 2 more negative ones just to have some variety.
Just balance it out, dude.
Yeah. So first one is from Joel Johnson.
You suck and I hate everything you've ever done.
How'd you know? Wow, look at that.
I was reading the comment. It's right in front of me.
I know, exactly. I mean, they're not even that negative, to be honest. But it's just something.
Just a detracting comment.
Yeah, I guess so. So Joel Johnson said, Nintendo don't do a great job long-term on mature, darker games. They got to get out of the kiddie shadow and make more better-looking adult games. I'm of 2 minds on this.
I'm of 1 mind. I disagree, but continue.
No, I mean, for me, I think I disagree that they have to get out of what they're doing. I also agree that it would be nice for them to, do the Eternal Darknesses, the Metroid Prime 4, those kinds of games. And honestly, not even those like dark ones, but like Breath of the Wild, that's do more of those and stuff. But at the same time,
that much I agree with, because like Breath of the Wild is an adult game.
Oh,
like a little kid is not going to like get in as engrossed in that game as an adult would. Nintendo needs to stay Pixar. They don't need to turn in the freaking I don't know, like a Deadpool movie or whatever.
Or even like Michael Bay or something.
Yeah, like
that's a bad example, but
they can be Pixar. It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah. No, so I mean, I agree with that. Just in the sense that they don't always do a great job of having a ton of those kinds of games, and that those are often the ones that we're waiting the longest on.
Yeah.
Which is like, it would be nice if that weren't the case. But at the same time, I don't think they need to pivot at all. I think it should be at most additive and not replaceatory. I totally made up that word, but it sounded so fun.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with what you said about like I think that like if they did more of it, cool. But like I'm not really strapped for that sort of thing. In fact, I actively avoid playing games like that. Honestly, I wouldn't say actively, but like there's like I have access to those games. I have consoles like that, and I still opt to play the Nintendo games anyway. So it's like I can take it or leave it.
I think it would still have to continue to be their twist on it. Again, Breath of the Wild is like the kind of middle ground, and like somewhere on both sides of that would be the ideal for me. And not even just Breath of the Wild, but like 3D Zelda games in general. Ones that feel like that anybody would be like, this is a AAA game. And that there isn't a question about, for some people, whether or not it's a AAA game. But again, I'm playing Animal Crossing lots of hours a week. So it's not like I need it for me.
And even Animal Crossing, I think Animal Crossing is very easily a AAA game. Like,
for sure.
Like, just look at it. It's definitely a AAA game. So... It's just not like there's no guns, so it's not,
man, Breath of the Wild 2, come on.
Add the guns.
I do wonder. I think I don't know.
You do wonder if they're going to add guns?
Not guns, but like I think there's going to be a more like magic element where they have like some sorts of magic powers and stuff like that. More so
because they're putting Zelda as a playable character, and she's going to be toxic, just like in Smash Brothers.
Exactly. So it would be cool. Next comment, Silent Protagonist says, I've been wanting
to get too many words for Silent Protagonist. This is off-brand.
I get it. I've been wanting to get into the Metroid series for a while now, and I've been told that the Prime Trilogy Super Metroid was the best place to start. I have no interest in getting Nintendo Online or their SNES subscription service, so if Prime Trilogy gets released on Switch, I'd be more than happy to start there.
Yeah, I need to like play more of that. I dipped in and out of like them, but I never finished any of them.
Yep.
So like,
yeah, I mean,
they put it on the Switch, I'll try.
Somebody commented on this, and they did say like Super Metroid holds up incredibly well, which is the only thing I've ever heard. That it's like just super good. But yeah, I'm
approximately 5 minutes of that game for a meme.
Play it again. I'm a lot more forthright on the podcast than in videos about series that I just haven't even barely touched. So
you don't want people in the comment. You don't want people in the comments to be like, "Fake fan, unsubscribe, dislike."
Pretty much, just because it's like, I mean, if like, I'm very happy to tell people that. I'm not going to lie about it, but at the same time, it's like
there's no reason to volunteer that information,
right? Especially like if people are going to be toxic about it, like don't even bother. But that said, I haven't played. The most I've played of a Metroid game so far is Metroid NES. I was talking to Max about this actually. Metroid NES, played probably half, maybe a third of that. I think somewhere around there in any case. And I was like, I don't want to keep playing this. And I told him, and he was like, oh yeah, that's because Metroid NES is bad. And I was like, yeah. It just like most NES games don't hold up well. So like, sorry about it. Like Super Mario Bros. 3 is kind of it, and like, or Super Mario Bros. 2 also is enjoyable. SMB 1 is still like not even that fun.
Yo, I'm telling Bob, that's his favorite game. But I think now he goes back and forth between Super Mario Maker 2 and the original Super Mario Brothers. But he's dumb, so.
So all that to say, I haven't played a Metroid game start to finish, but I'm just waiting for it to be something. For it to be in the zeitgeist, essentially, is what it is. So I'd alternatively, if there's a big enough backlog gap, then I'll play Super Metroid. But I know right now if I started playing it, I'd have other stuff I'm playing anyway. So it's like, do I want to? Do I not? But that's a good question of like, where do you start with Metroid in general?
Just I don't get lost in the weeds on that, right? Because like, especially when it's like Pokemon, right? If anybody's ever like, where do I start playing Pokemon? Literally the newest one all the time. Every time, the newest one. Even if I would say like, I still am going back and forth whether I like Heart Gold more or Sword and Shield more. I'm leaning towards Sword and Shield, but I need to play Heart Gold again and like be super sure. But I still wouldn't recommend, even if I like ultimately like I like Heart Gold more. I only like Heart Gold more because that's informed by the context of like being a fan for freaking 20 however many years, right? But as a newcomer, you're going to want to go into the game that has the most modern conveniences and all that stuff.
Totally. Yeah.
So a super fan of Metroid is going to more than likely be a purist and either go with like and say you need to play the like best reviewed one, or you need to play the first game so you understand the lore or whatever, right? So like, the chances are, as a newcomer that wants to be won over by the series, you probably don't want to play the newest one.
Honestly, I mean, the arguably, maybe Samus Returns would be one of the best places to start for a lot of people because it's got a lot of those modern conveniences and stuff. But I do hope this year comes with a Metroid game for all the reasons that I talked about. And with the Paper Mario thing, I can't imagine Nintendo's dumb enough to not, you know what I mean? Like, that seems like, if that's not a tease, seems super tone deaf.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Look at this thing. Look at it. Too bad.
Yep. Too much. Take it back. So that's stuff. But going on, next comment. This is from Instinct Labs. Says, I'm willing to wait for Prime 4. New players being introduced to Metroid with older, dated titles might hurt the hype for Prime 4. Just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know if it would be like a straight port though, knowing Nintendo. Like usually when they do stuff like that, like even the original trilogy, they added like motion control and stuff like that. So who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of why I was saying too for Metroid Prime Trilogy that it would be weird for that to be the first thing to show up on Switch a little bit. But again, if they add a bunch of stuff, then it wouldn't be, and it would be fine.
Right.
But if a 2D Metroid was the first new thing, and like lots of people were excited about that, I don't think that would hurt the hype. I think the most hype thing would be Metroid Prime 4, obviously, like straight up. But that's just not going to happen for from everything we know. So, I think it depends if it's a 2D one, if they like really knock it out of the park, or if it's Metroid Prime Trilogy and they kind of like bring it up to today's standards as far as just like conveniences and stuff, then I think we should be fine, personally.
It's gonna be late.
And then the last one, which I thought was fun, Nikki Strings says, imagine if they got Igarashi and the Bloodstained team to do a true Metroidvania style Metroid.
Everybody would hate it. Just like they hated Bloodstained.
So this is funny to me because I don't know. I don't know Metroid enough to know, like, when you say a true Metroidvania style Metroid, like, pretty sure the newest ones
I don't like that term.
Yeah.
Metroidvania, just because, like, it feels like congratulatory of Castlevania for no reason, right? Because, like, Castlevania is just like a Metroid game, but, like...
I don't know much about it, but from what I've heard, I think there's some people that would agree. That would disagree.
Because they're Castlevania fans.
Hey, I don't know, but I mean, like Symphony of the Night. That's all I know. Something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's so much after freaking Metroid already established that.
How far after Super Metroid was it? Is the question.
It's a PlayStation game, dude.
So it's like pretty far after. Yeah. I'm gonna look it up. Symphony of the Night. 1997.
Yeah, so like,
yeah. There must be things in 1994 for Super Metroid. Yeah.
I think that freaking Konami coined that term. And, like that's what I think, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think anybody that like really thinks that Castlevania is owed just as much reverence as Metroid for that like style of game is crazy. Like, that's insane.
I have no chips to put into this, but yeah, sure, why not? We'll go with it.
It's wild, dude. It's wild.
So that's all the comments from my video.
It's like giving Sonic the same credit for Mario. Like, that's crazy. But anyway, yeah.
He deserves not much. Sonic's fine. It's not for me, but it's fine.
And it's not fine. It's garbage. You gotta be more forthcoming with your opinions.
No, my opinion is straight up just like, obviously there's people that love it, so some of it's gotta be fine, but it's just not my style for a number of reasons.
You think it's trash. You think it's trash, and it's fine. It's okay. It's okay to think things.
Comments from your video.
I think
ready?
They're trash all the time.
I have nuanced opinions about things, AJ.
Nah.
As do you about the Nintendo Directs.
It's true.
You have any thoughts before we go into the comments?
I think that like the more that I've done this, like made a YouTube channel, the more I resent Nintendo Directs as a thing. And I like them like as a fan of Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like completely removed from all this. But again, as a creator that like engages with people that have opinions on what Nintendo should and shouldn't do. I'm starting to not like them that much because like they're kind of antithetical to what Nintendo wants to be, and I mean by extension are. So I don't know, I feel kind of weird, and it seems like they think that with how they've been active recently, even removed from the pandemic. Like I think since Iwata passed, they've been like distancing themselves from Directs because Directs used to be way more frequent than they were. I mean, like have been in the Switch era,
Mm-hmm.
Even with droughts and stuff like that on the Wii U. So I don't know.
I could see them doing more like game-centric directs, continuing those, because like I think those are pretty helpful to have. Like the Animal Crossing one, where it's like, here's just a bunch of information, have fun, because that's easier than like, or not, I don't know, it's more concise and you can manage that kind of marketing maybe better than trickling out of information.
Right.
But and you can get people hyped kind of all at once with that too. But yeah, I could definitely see. Yeah, it just makes it tricky because, I mean, like you talked about in the video, some things just will overshadow other things. So that kind of sucks, to be like, well, there was an announcement for this, and everyone's like, what? There was an announcement for that, but you just didn't even know.
Yeah.
So, and the expectations do get so high. I think that's like the thing that kills Direct so often is like, even if there were a bunch of things where we're like, oh, that was cool, if it ends poorly, and that's it. Like,
and poorly, like at that, where it's like, without all these expectations, if we had a Direct 2 weeks earlier or whatever, and people got one game that they liked, if they ended another Direct and they gave one game that we liked, people would be like, yo, that Direct was great. But because it's been so long, us getting 2 games is like, oh, that sucks, dude. We only got 2 games that we'll enjoy on this platform that most people are only going to buy 2 games per year on. Like, it's just people.
Yep. Man. For sure. So here's some comments from your video that we'll chat about. Chip Corley has a couple of points, or a number of points, 4 to be specific. I will say I respectfully disagree for a few reasons.
How dare
Number
you?
1, the game trailers get uploaded separately outside of the Direct as soon as it's released anyway. This means people can just search X game rather than Direct if they want to. Number 2.
Let's go down one by one. And if you have thoughts, you give your thoughts too. I disagree with this because, like, I think the existence of the Direct in and of itself, just mindshare wise, is not going to have most people search for those trailers. They're going for what everybody else is talking about. On the second end, on a like more inside baseball thing, just us. From personal experience, if we talk about something that people were previously excited about beforehand, like if we made, say, more recently, if we're like, we're going to make an Animal Crossing video, and Nintendo did a Nintendo Direct that was completely unrelated to Animal Crossing, the Animal Crossing video would die. And I think that happens pretty often with their trailers. And just anecdotally, look at the Paper Mario views on that. Look at the views on that video compared to when they have a game like Metroid Prime or whatever even announced in a Direct. Like, it's not going to have nearly as many views as the Direct itself does, and nothing else that is featured in that Direct is going to have nearly as many views.
No, the 4.4 million or whatever that the Direct had is definitely more than any individual trailer from those have had, at least from what I've noticed looking back at that kind of thing. Like, that's the fact that that Paper Mario has 4.3 million views was insane. But obviously, like, I mean, just anecdotally with that, even just that it's things being standalone and occupying the whole mind share of a conversation means that it'll get around better than if things are broken up.
Like, being this dice roll of like, all right, what are people going to care about most? Because it's not always the first and last thing that's featured that people care about most. So, and then again, I think that there's more of a negative chance, especially recently, because the more Directs that they put out, and in the Switch era, I feel like they've been more discerning with like what they put in a Direct, and they try to make sure every Direct when they happen are great. Even with that mindset, people become more and more jaded, and they're like, even though this is a better Direct than we got in all of like 2014 to 2016, this Direct sucks. Worst Direct ever, like that sort of thing. And it's just like, what's the point? Like, just like announce stuff separately if people are going to like poo-poo everything. If like the thing that people aren't going to pay attention to anyway is the reason why the thing that is meant to have them pay attention to that thing isn't received well, like if the whole idea of like, which I think he brings up later, if the whole thing of like Directs, and I brought up in the video, like high tides raise all ships, right? If the whole idea of that is achieving that goal, it shouldn't then also be that the low points of the Direct sink the perception of the Direct.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, another way to think about this too, like if your mom tells you, hey, here's 10 chores to do, or tells you, hey, here's one, like, go take out the trash, you're going to remember better to take out the trash than number 5 of 10 points.
Right.
You know? So same kind of goes with this. So I don't know. That said, I think they're fun entertainment for sure. But like, as far as remembering all the bits about it, like every time I watch a direct, every time a direct happens, I go back and rewatch it to be like, okay, what were all the things again? And then like get excited about the things that I forgot about later that day. You know, like that's pretty sad.
I think, especially the last few years, I always make a video after the direct of like, here's what happened in the direct. And then like, I'll forget what happened in the direct. And I spent 12 hours at minimum reviewing what happened in the direct, you know?
That's crazy. So. Yeah. I mean, I get the idea for sure, but I think it's,
I think they're, but we'll get.
Number 2 though, directs aren't supposed to be one size fits all, but rather you'll probably find at least 1 or 2 things here that interest you.
I agree. I don't think it matters what they're supposed to be though, because like public perception matters way more than what intent is in this case. Nintendo Directs are ads. They're 30-minute ads. So like Nintendo's intent could be like, whichever one you like, that'd be great. But if everybody's saying like this was bad because I didn't like anything or I only liked one thing, and there's people that we have known in this very like circle that they do it all the time where they may have liked 2 games, but because there were 12 games and they only liked 2 games, the direct was bad.
Yeah.
And that could be the intent. It could, for Nintendo, it could just be like, as long as you like one game featured in here, we did our job. But when the perception is the direct was bad because you didn't give me 6 games that I liked, what's the point?
Yeah. As opposed to like when the Paper Mario trailer came out, I think it was exciting that it came out. So people were just excited to be like, oh, Paper Mario, that's cool. Even if you didn't care about Paper Mario, you'd be like, all right, whatever, not for me, but like neat for somebody. But if that same trailer, like that same concept within the direct doesn't really pan out for the reasons that you just said. So yeah. Number 3, they generate excitement and buzz around the Nintendo brand.
I agree with this.
Yes,
this is true.
It is. I think though, I mean, I would say comparing the Paper Mario one to a direct, I don't know that, because I definitely agree they do, and they're exciting for me and more fun for me, if I'm being fully honest. Like it's more fun as a viewer.
They're definitely more fun. I completely agree that they're more fun.
But it's, I don't know that if there's, 20 games in a direct, I don't know that it's 20 times more fun than one Paper Mario.
Yeah, no.
So,
for me personally, like I agree with that, but again, just in the position that I'm in, they're also more toxic. So like they're more fun initially, but after the fact they're way more toxic, like significantly more.
True. And then number 4, as you already mentioned, this might get people interested in games they would have otherwise ignored or wouldn't have known about.
It's true. But I also think that like if the entire news cycle is dedicated to one thing on a day and they make a big deal about that one thing, it's going to have a similar effect. Like a lot of times now when because I
mean, like look at Animal Crossing. Honestly, like just the fact that Animal Crossing has been so pervasive for the past couple months, there's a ton of people that are like, all right, what's this thing? Like, let's check it out, and then have bought it and played it. Again, my sister-in-law being the best example. We're trying to buy her a Switch so that she can play Animal Crossing because other people that she saw were playing Animal Crossing and liked it.
Right.
But she's never going to have watched a direct. So.
Right. And I don't think most people do. There's literally people in our comments. Those are people that go to youtube.com/fanatixfour to watch Nintendo videos. Right? And they don't even watch Nintendo Directs. Like that's as dedicated as you could possibly get to subscribe to like an enthusiast like gaming channel, right? And you don't even watch the Directs. I think they kind of like they don't completely fulfill their purpose. I think that they're cool and everything, but I don't think that they're like essential. And I think that might be the problem for Nintendo. Like for me personally, I would want them to continue to do them, but like as a business that is like, they have to be like weighing their options of like, okay, now that we're forced to not be able to do directs, do we need them?
Yeah.
Right.
I guess, so here's the question. I think probably, assuming some variety of E3 kind of a thing continues in summers in the future. I assume Nintendo will always have a summer presentation, like a summer direct, pretty much. Right. But they may thin out on the other ones. So, what would be like the roadmap of if they do that? How do they do? Not E3, and then I don't know, like just E3 to E3. They would probably have to specifically say something about it, I guess.
I think the happy medium here that seems like it would make sense to me from a business end is to, I wanted to say annualize, but not annualize, quarterize, I guess, to be like, okay, we're going to do Nintendo Directs or digital events or whatever they want to brand them as, where they're more or less like investor meetings, but for consumers, where they're like, here's our plans for the next 3 months or whatever, right? Rather than them randomly at whatever time that they say they will, or that they won't say or whatever, making announcements, even if that announcement is like, hey, we're like, here's some games that you can play, but we don't have anything that's big. Right? I think that would solve a lot of the problems, because like when they're like they just intermittently happen out of nowhere for no real reason other than like we have things to announce. I think that breeds like contempt in people.
Because like, it definitely like it makes that whole like when's the next direct going to happen conversation happen for forever, which is like sometimes interesting but usually just annoying. And then, but on top of that, it means that when it finally does happen, expectations are raised so high that I don't think it would be if it's like, hey, we're going to find out about this on such and such date. I mean, like expectations will still be high, but less so because of the whole like is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? It's happening kind of, motivation for it. So also,
but I guess if anything, and that's kind of like the best case scenario for them to be like, we're going to do 4 like dedicated events, and this is when they happen. And I think people assume that already with directs, right? Yeah, they're like, well, for the last 3 years,
they could do 3 September directs.
Yeah,
like if they did March, June, and September,
right?
Then I think that's like a easy cadence that they could keep with. But
but I think that's like the trap that they've run into, because like nothing from them like publicly has said we're always doing a September direct, but people always assume that there's going to be a September direct, and if there isn't one, then
Nintendo, the pattern continues to be solidified at this point.
But at some point it's not going to be just like E3, right? Like that's just how Nintendo operates. It's like we do stuff until we don't.
And I gotta love Nintendo, but they are not forthright with many things, and that would be something that would be like it would be nice if they were a bit more forthright about.
But I think that's why they're not, though, because like they were never forthright about the fact that they do September directs, right? Like that was the thing the community made up. So like why, as a company that never told people like every September we're going to do this thing, why is it your responsibility to say, hey, this September we're not doing that thing that we didn't say that we are going to do every September?
I mean, I guess for the same reason that like kind of distant analogy, but that like words change meaning over time and stuff like that. And it's like, it's not the dictionary's fault that suddenly this word doesn't mean such and such anymore, and now it means this other thing. But eventually the dictionary is like, all right, cool. It means this other thing.
Yeah, it's not the dictionary's fault that literally means literally and also figuratively.
Right, exactly. But eventually, like, some of the things, they just cave in and they're like, you guys all decided this was a thing. We're just going to, like, address it so that you can shut up.
Yeah.
So.
But I think that feels, I don't know, that feels different.
I'm with you, though. I know what you
mean. Because it's like Nintendo, like, almost apologizing for doing something that they didn't do. It's like, I'm sorry.
Well, I think they would have to do it as a positive announcement rather than like, hey, we're now going to start doing this thing, which is like, to them, they're
but then they're like, committing to another thing that they may or may not stop.
That's true. Yeah.
So I just think that that's like it's just way better the way for them anyway. Like for us, it's sad, you know, because like we don't know when to look forward to things or whatever. Like we don't get, it doesn't get to be Christmas randomly every. I mean, for us, yes.
Yeah.
The video thing, that's rough. Yeah. But for the video game fans, purely, it's like it doesn't get to be Christmas randomly every 2 months or whatever, right? Yeah. That sucks or whatever. But like. For them, I think that it would be worse if they had this like burnt-in expectation that they can't deviate from without inherent backlash. Like,
yeah. Next comment. This is from General Clankton, who said, "From a business standpoint, I get why they're straying away from them, but as a fan, I just love directs. The mystery of what was being unveiled was a lot more exciting than just seeing every person I follow posting about it before I can even look at the trailer." This is true. If they keep doing this, I at least hope they tweet something like, "Tune in at 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow as we drop a new trailer," just so the surprise factor can live on.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That's a tricky, because even if they do that, though, that it's hard for expectations, because then there's only one game for people to be disappointed by. You know? So that's hard. I would prefer it still, on a like having something to look forward to, and then like this is the moment we're all finding out together. Or maybe they post it later.
Yeah, I mean it's rough for them. I would say like you know what the solution is? Like that they only put like big announcement trailers like this on like a Nintendo Direct YouTube channel, right? That's separate from their own channel. So like the big announcements, they can say, like they can just be like, here's this thing or whatever, and you put notifications on that channel. So like they don't have to announce that it's happening, but for the people that feel like this and they don't want to be spoiled, they just ring the bell on that channel. You don't want to ring the bell on Nintendo's regular channel because they release however many videos that random. But like for the big deal announcements, if they only put them on this new like Nintendo Direct centric channel, I think that would solve that problem.
What a funny problem to have, because like
in the video, because I think that would be a good way to like kill two birds with one stone.
Yep, man, it's a thing. It's interesting. Yep. I hope they do. Yeah, because I mean we're going to be expecting this more throughout the year. So like throughout this summer especially, I'd imagine. So like,
yeah, and even that sucks. Like I don't know. Like I saw Mag's tweet about it where he was like, "Are we going to get another announcement?" And I rolled my eyes. I was like, "Oh my god, we're doing this again." We're like, it's not even a Nintendo Direct, and we're already speculating about how they're going to continue to start another pattern.
Yep. I mean, like we can only assume this is going to be the case more or less with Smash DLC in June, and
which I mean, to be fair, they already started doing that. Like they already made that a like standoff.
Have the Sakurai things.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Next comment is from Cool. Said, "I see your point, and I agree with a lot of what you said. They don't really need it anymore, but I think other developers do. The Switch really boosted the indie scene and got me into indie games personally. A lot of these games would have just been ignored and forgotten about if not for the Direct itself. Other than that, I think third-party games get more publicity from a Direct. It's easier for them to do what they did with Origami King, but this kind of leaves people wondering when the next big game is, or when the next game is going to be, and it's so much more fun." It's so much fun when Nintendo announces Direct coming soon and we see reveal after reveal and then a Smash reveal. Nintendo is weirdly ahead of the competition when it comes to innovation, but behind them on a technical level, hardware and online. Lots of points there, but yeah, interesting stuff.
I think that I kind of touched on that stuff. Other than the third party stuff, I think third parties need to do what they need to do. It's third parties' fault that it's easier to like be like, oh, and a Nintendo Direct, oh, okay, this is coming to Switch, because they kind of brush it under the rug, and that's because they're used to like their releases, just people already knowing that, hey, it's on that box, and also it's on all the other boxes that are exactly like that box.
Well, and it's frustrating because like if you so often, even if Ubisoft has a game that's coming out on the Switch, a lot of times in their E3 presentations or whatever, they just assume, it seems like, that the Nintendo audience isn't watching theirs, is what it seems like to me, because they just don't. They only mention the PS4, Xbox One.
I don't even think it's that well thought out. I think that they literally don't mention hard like platforms because a lot of different games have exclusivity to like the marketing.
Right.
So like some games look like they're just PlayStation games, but like obviously they're on Xbox.
Right.
But they don't feel like that ever for Switch, because sometimes it's like, yeah, that's coming to Switch, and then other times it's like, nah, it's not. And that, I think that's the only reason why like third-party games, like bigger third parties anyway, why they feel like more fleshed out and established in directs, because like if it's in a direct, we know it's coming to Switch. That's not a question.
Right, for sure. And that's honestly like, I feel like I want to not this is a step for sure. It's not quite this strong, but in some regards, like Ubisoft or something like that, I would feel like I'd want to support Ubisoft more if they were announcing the fact in their regular presentations that Switch was like a part of their because then it sort of feels like it's one of those like, all right, we're going to talk to you guys over, like brushing the Switch thing under the rug, like we're going to announce that.
All right, this is the presentation for the cool kids. All the kids go shut up and wait outside until the kiddie pool opens.
That's what it feels like, and that's obviously not what they're thinking. But like, if as kids that were not accepted by everybody and stuff like that growing up or whatever, like I think there's some part of me that like wants it to be like, yeah, just treat me like everybody else, you ding dong. So I think that's part of what that is.
And as far as like the last comment, I agree and I disagree at the same time. I think that hardware wise, they're actually technically more ahead in a lot of different areas.
Oh, for sure.
They're less powerful, but that doesn't mean that they're less innovative. If that makes sense.
Well, I think it says it's Nintendo's ahead of the
he
conversation
said
when it comes to innovation, but behind on a technical level.
Yeah. But I mean, like on a technical level, isn't as cut and dry as like
it's not as strong,
like horsepower, right? Like the Switch's architecture is more technologically advanced than the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4.
It's just not as strong because it's a lot smaller for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, exactly. And the Joy-Con are more technologically advanced than the Xbox One.
Even though they got drift and all that garbage, but
I mean, technically every analog stick ever can get drift, but it's because of like how small it is and blah 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 blah. But yeah, like I agree and I disagree with that. I think online is again also like a case by case thing. And it's like ironically kind of on the Nintendo audience that like they're more behind than I would say Nintendo is, ironically, because like they don't get that online is a case by case thing. It's not this giant pool of data that like developers like get access to because Sony and Microsoft are just that far ahead. It's they understand like, oh, okay, our networking needs to be up to this standard, and that's just what it is. And so, like that's why some games on Switch run great, even first-party Nintendo games. Some first-party Nintendo games I've never seen any lag in ever. I've probably dropped one game in Splatoon.
I mean, people are still playing a ton of Fortnite, I assume. Like that's a game that you play online with other people. I mean, I don't know the Fortnite community or anything like that, but like you got to assume that if there were tons of issues with online, it would also be obvious and like be talked about in that arena.
Right, but nobody talks about it because it's just like it's either it works or it's the worst thing ever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's going to say that thing about like not that many people bring up the fact that like Splatoon's like online is pretty solid, even by Xbox and PlayStation standards. I've dropped more games on my Xbox One and my PlayStation 4 combined compared to the amount of like games that I've dropped with that other like all those other games. And this is coming from somebody that plays their freaking PlayStation Xbox once a year, like, and it's like it's not as bad as people make it seem. Like some games, yes. Smash Brothers, yes. Like freaking Mario Maker 2, yes. But Nintendo as a whole is not as bad as people make it seem like.
Yeah. So, and then the last comment from Grimhane, what's up, Grimhane, says, I think it makes sense that they moved to something else. When they started doing directs, no one else was, and everyone was at the very least skeptical of how they do it. Yep. Here we are years later, and Sony and Microsoft are mimicking the style. Meanwhile, Nintendo has years of metrics to see how effective a direct is versus a single game announcement. And they'll adapt to whatever new messaging works best for them, be it for big events or a tweet seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah. And this is another thing that I wanted to address in the video, but like I don't know, I forgot to for whatever reason. But it feels very much unlike Nintendo to continue to do this thing that they're like, all right, it's working now, and it's working to the extent that everybody else is doing it. Like it doesn't feel like them to like continue on doing something like that. They're like, all right, everybody else is doing it, time to invent another thing. So
no, yeah, I'm totally with you. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I forgot to mention on Cool's comment is he talked about indie games and that the Switch really boosted the indie game scene and all that. And I think that's true. I hope that they continue to do indie spotlight, even if they don't
indie
have
world. Yeah. That's why like I brought up in the video about that too, where it's like I think they definitely need to do that with indie games. Like I think the high tide analogy holds strong there more than anything else. Because like even third-party games or whatever would be pretty easy to eventize and like release on like a Nintendo Direct channel, like I brought up, and just say, hey, this is a big deal announcement, is freaking Horizon Zero Dawn on a Nintendo Switch or whatever, right? Like that would easily be like one of those like 3-4 million view videos. It doesn't need a Nintendo Direct to get that. But indies wouldn't just, unless they're like marketed really well, they probably wouldn't get that same attention.
No, Untitled Goose Game, I don't think would have gotten anything close to what it did had it not been in.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, like,
I think that's one of those things that like had they marketed it well and the trailer was funny, that game would have did exactly what it did.
I mean,
I think like as it was, probably not.
Yeah.
But if they had the right person cut that trailer, that game could have still freaking took over the world.
I think it's just a question of like how many people can be that initial batch to see it and then share it or whatever, because like and so that's the thing is with the indie directs, they just have a ton of people, so like they have their best potential of being shared and stuff. The thing that's tricky with them is I noticed that there's some games that will be in the indie worlds and then will that'll be like they'll be talked about a bunch. Like I remember Super Mash was one that after the last indie world, a lot of people were like, oh, that was cool, and I thought it was cool too. And then it came out, I think this week or last week or something like that, to like very little fanfare. So I think that's tricky, is like figuring out from the developer side or even from Nintendo is like continuing to work with those indies to like still make it a big deal. Those games have come out like, hey, remember this one from Indie World? It's out now.
Yeah. Also, I think that in a way, more often than not, for me, directs have more of a negative effect on those games than a positive one. Because I'm like, even if it's subconsciously, I'm like, all right, whatever. Because like, not in a thing of like, it's an indie game, I'm not going to play that. But like, more so like, it's an indie game, it probably doesn't like demo well visually like in a trailer. So like, what's the point of paying attention to this right now? I'm just going to play it when they send me a code or whatever. So like Celeste is an example of a game like that where I saw it and I vaguely remembered it in a Nintendo Direct, but nowhere did I think when I first saw that game that it was going to be like my favorite game that year, you know, other than Smash.
For me, honestly, with Celeste, I remember seeing the mountain and Celeste, just the like logo for it or the art, the key art for it, and being like, that looks cool. And then I saw it in a Direct and I was like, oh, I don't really care about this. And then later, a while,
nothing.
Yeah,
like I didn't even see like when it was like when I don't even know why I played this game. I guess I got less codes around this time, maybe, I don't know. But they sent me the code for Celeste, and I played it. I usually would now. I would not play a random like indie code unless they sent me a trailer, you know, or it was from freaking Devolver Digital. I probably wouldn't play it. But this game, I played it. I was like, yo, this game is dope. And then I told Bob, and it was like a game that, like how I told him was like a game I've never heard of in my life. And then he was still like, you know, so like if I think that there's also something to be said for the fact that like directs can also kind of have a bad effect on indie games too.
Yep. Yeah, man. So that's that. Directs, we'll see how they turn out. We'll probably keep having them in some form or fashion, but
it'll probably be something that we'll keep having until we don't.
Yep. But you will continue to have directly to you, and you can ask us questions.
It's true.
And we'll answer those questions like we're about to do right now.
It's true.
here we go. Q&A. We just got a couple. From Twitter, we got Devilman's Crybaby, who asked, have y'all ever watched Avatar The Last Airbender? If you have, what are your thoughts? If you haven't, what's the, and then the wrong answer. And then it said wrong answer, but it was in the Paper Mario thing, like when Peach said it as Origami Peach.
Yo. Context.
Have you watched Avatar The Last Airbender?
Yes, I have.
Nice.
Have you?
Go for it. I have just started it since it came to Netflix.
The Netflix.
Yeah, because I was not in the country that had it back when it first came out.
Wow, fake fan. You know?
I mean,
didn't even
none fan for a long time.
Didn't even move to the correct country to watch Avatar The Last Airbender.
What a horrible person I am.
Fake fan. But yeah, no, I watched it, and that was like one of the reasons why I freaking resubscribed to Netflix. And I'm gonna like watch the show for like 2.5 weeks, and then never watch Netflix again, but still be subscribed for like the next year at least. But then again, Pokemon's coming to Netflix, so I'll probably.
Oh, that's true. It's June, right?
Yeah. So
dope.
There's that.
Yep. Yeah, so there you go. I'll let you know my thoughts as I keep going. So far it's fun. I realized how little I knew about it outside of just the fact that Aang was named Aang, and I barely remembered that until somebody said Aang, and I was like, that's right, that's what his name is.
He's a bald man.
He's bald, has an arrow. I remembered that, and I knew
an arrow.
Yeah, and I knew that he, he was the Avatar and could control the four elements. He was frozen. And the Fire Nation. I knew Fire Nation bad.
Ice ball with his
But I didn't even know.
cow.
I figured like he was just a regular, when it starts out and it's the brother and sister, I thought the brother was him.
You thought he was the Avatar?
And that later he would shave his head or something.
And also like go
and it didn't make sense. I was like,
go
he does
into
not seem
isolation for like years in a dark
I didn't even know that part.
Lose all his I was just saying like he would like lose all skin tone. Like freaking Sokka would like
exactly
turn into Aang somehow. I was like, that's wild, dude. Or maybe like you're like, oh man, it's really messed up how they whitewashed the Avatar in the ads, dude.
Yeah. It's true. So there's that for you. Good question. Yeah, I'll keep you posted. Next question from Lachlan Everett says, Chinese food or Thai food?
So I think that they were in one of the streams. So Bob streams Call of Duty Warzone with his friends, Jerry and Greg, and we were talking about Chinese food, and I don't remember why. But we were talking about that, and then somebody said something about Thai food, and then Jerry was like, Thai food is just like a crappy version of Chinese food, and we're like, whoa, that's racist. And then that
very incorrect.
That like spawned a whole he was like, it's the same thing. We're like, that's even more racist. So I think that might be what
could be
this question.
Yeah, man. Do you have a specific opinion?
Probably Chinese food.
Okay.
It's like if I'm going to like order anything, just food in general, my go-tos are like either Chinese food or pizza. Yeah. Like that's just like the easiest thing for me to like want to order.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever thought to myself, I'm going to order Thai food. Like Thai food's like the sort of thing, like I'm out with friends or whatever, and we're like, yo, you like eating? They're like, yo, Thai food place right here. I'm like, all right, I'm down.
A Thai food place opened around the corner from me like a couple weeks ago, and I'm very excited about that because it's actually immediately next to a Chinese place. So I'll say for myself, probably Thai food, honestly. Like I've had Chinese definitely a lot more, but I feel like Thai, based on what you can get from Chinese food and Thai place in the States, Thai has more variety of like different kinds of dishes and stuff like that. That maybe Chinese does, but I don't give a chance because like they're not.
Because you have established things.
Yeah, because I've established things and like they don't seem like very interesting versions of the things. It's like that's kind of some of the same things from these different meals, but in a weird mixture together maybe, or just like not really. As opposed to like Thai food, I would likely get either like a green curry or chicken pad Thai, which are super different from each other, So like, and more varieties of
so different choices for like completely opposing reasons. Because I'm like Chinese food because it's like comfort food. It's like I'm just going to get like what I always get, and it's just easy.
I mean, General Tso's chicken.
Like,
that's
exactly.
good stuff right there.
Like Thai food, it's fun, dude.
Yeah,
like I'm for it, but
Yep.
like if I'm,
but they're really exactly the same. You know, that's
yeah,
the thing.
you know, it really same thing. You know, same continent, so they gotta be like, you know, mirror images.
It's true. So there's that. Good question. Discord. We got a couple questions from here. Chicapo asks us, when you have the time to do so, what are your favorite streamers / YouTube channels that you watch?
That I watch. Hold on, wait. Let me go on YouTube.
Here, I'll go ahead and say my. Okay, so either it's like one of a couple different varieties. Either I'll put on like a Mario Maker streamer. I don't watch actual live streaming content pretty much ever. It's always just YouTube. So I don't watch stuff on Twitch. But so like Graham Pooh Bear, Ryukar, The Beast, something like that, where it's like, you know, pre-recorded Mario Maker stuff. So there's that, or stuff more like ours, in which case probably like, yeah, like conversation type things. So Rob, Rule to Review. I enjoy Arlo's content. I know he's kind of controversial for some people. And I don't know. More like that. That's a little bit more like creative based, like ours tends to be.
Right.
And then you can say some of yours. I've got.
So for me, like I don't really watch that much gaming stuff, and like the stuff that I watch is like random because like I don't know, watching gaming stuff feels like work.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Yeah, a lot of it can for me. So like, yeah.
So it's just like I don't. I'll watch like the random stuff that like I'll watch Bob's stuff.
Yeah, same.
And then that's pretty much it for gaming. And like every once in a while, like Dan will put out a video, you know, like every 3 months or whatever. And I'll watch Dan's videos, even if it's like, because Dan talks about a lot of stuff that I don't care about, but I care about Dan, so I'll watch 100%. Dan's video. But other than that, like Casey Neistat is cool. I'll randomly watch Bon Appetit because cooking stuff interests me, even though I'm not interested in actually cooking. Caleb City's funny. What else? I'm literally scrolling through my
some other ones. I enjoy kind of broader conversation gaming stuff too, where it's more like the game design kind of talk stuff.
Yeah.
So Rasputin, that channel is interesting, and like what's the one I'm trying to think of? Obviously, I don't watch enough.
Philip DeFranco is another one. That's like easy. Like,
what's the one I'm trying to
probably
think
watch him all the time.
Oh, well, I don't know. But that said, so all that stuff in the gaming sphere. And then YouTube
and also like Smash Brothers creators like freaking EE and Nairo and Zero and like those guys. Sometimes I'll watch Game Grumps, but like less so. The Grumps, like they have like their like non-gaming channel. I watch that. That's funny. But I don't really watch Game Grumps anymore because like I don't know, I have no desire to watch Let's Plays at all.
Yeah, for sure. Then again, I kind of do. Well, I mean, only of Mario Maker stuff.
Like Mario Maker.
Yeah. But then also YouTube's got my number and they keep showing me interesting drum and music stuff. And like, as a drummer, that's just, it's always interesting to me to watch a bunch of those. So that's, yeah, it's got my number. Oh, I remember. So the channels that I was talking about are like Adam Millard or something like that, where it's talking about like game design things of various sorts. There's one that I just recommended. That's his new one. That's building better villains, that kind of thing. Where it's just like kind of a very bird's eye view of games and like how games could be different or better and stuff. So that's pretty much my YouTube content.
Man, I'm subscribed to so many.
It recommends SNL stuff too, and I'll watch them. And so I've actually told it to, I've blocked SNL from mine because it's so distracting. So I'm just like,
also
I'm fine without it.
Nutshell's good too.
What one?
In a Nutshell, it's like I think their name is also like German for that. But they like make videos about like they made a video. The one that I watched the most recently is about the coronavirus and how like pandemic spread and stuff. It's like explainer video, sort of like animated, like that kind of thing.
Yep.
Lindsay Ellis, she's really good. She like does like video essays and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, we really don't watch anything ever. I don't know what you're talking about.
I watch like a lot of YouTube.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's why I don't watch anything else. Because YouTube, I feel better about like watching YouTube in the background and not really paying attention to it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Than I do like TV. So like I'll like just queue up a whole bunch of like different people that I'll like catch in like my subscription feed, and like in the watch later, and then I'll do other stuff like while that just plays in the background.
Yep, I feel you.
And I'm only in M on YouTube, but I'm done with this question.
So there you go. 2 more questions. We got one from Derp Marcos, who says, "What do you do other than gaming?"
Well, right now, freaking just manage this channel and relationships with people. And that's pretty much it. I don't really have any hobbies because, like, I have a bad habit of turning my hobbies into freaking jobs.
Is it Bilbo?
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Some of the time.
Yep, I'm a fan of that movie. But no. So
I mean,
like,
Smeagol, all things considered.
I don't know their relation to one another, but
well, Smeagol originally was a hobbit back in, but then he had the ring, and
I thought he was a gremlin man.
Well, he became like a gremlin man. It's it made him live abnormally long and all that.
Okay,
like,
so he's not just like a different species. I thought he was a different species.
No, he was back in the day. He was a hobbit, but no longer.
Wow, man, you learn so much.
You do
when you flub, you know. But yeah, man, I have a bad habit. I was about to say it again. I have a bad habit of doing that. So no, I don't have hobbies. Yes, hobbies. I like questioned myself. I was like, did I do it again? I don't do that because they're dangerous. So yeah, just freaking playing games, normal like day-to-day regular people stuff, and then managing YouTube.
Yep. Yeah. I have a day job, so there's that. Would be great if my day job's stressful recently, and that's
like, comment, subscribe.
Nevertheless, day job, there's that. But then also, yeah, I've got a wife and 2 dogs, and so like hang out with friends when it's not this stuff. But then otherwise, like
hop on a Zoom chat.
Yeah, seriously. I did hang out with Mitch this week. That was the first time I've actually spent time with another person. So there's that. But then also lots of music stuff. I don't spend as much time doing that as I'd like to otherwise, but that was like, yeah, that's a big thing for me. But it'll just happen when it happens.
Yeah.
And then the last question from Huddy Bear, who has a YouTube channel. Go check it out if you want. Who says, "When will the next direct be?" With all the like.
The SpongeBob font, or not font.
I mean, kind of font. This is a great question. Let's talk about it for 2 hours.
I think it's going to be next Thursday. They're going to announce it on Monday morning.
Of course.
Yep.
Classic.
Yep.
Hey, it's a long weekend for me. That's fun. Monday. I just thought about Monday and I was like, I'm off. I'll probably have to do like gardening stuff or something. That's lame. But whatever.
That sounds gross.
Yeah. I've got to edit my mom's podcast too this weekend. So that'll take a while.
There's that.
But you know what, guys? That is all from us.
That's the end of our podcast.
That's right. If you listened at the beginning, which you probably
What's your mom's podcast called? Everybody check out Parker's mom's podcast.
It's a very different tone. It's called Serving Stories. And it's so my parents run a nonprofit that's all about like volunteer mobilization. And so it's like they'll pick a city that they're doing and then talk about that for a while. So check it out if you want to.
There it is. Check it out. Send me a link. I'll put it in the description.
Sounds good. But that's it, y'all. See you next time.
There it is. See you next time. Bye.